Rashid Shaheed, who coming off the board right now at wide receiver 58 in most drafts out there. Last season, 75 targets, 46 receptions, 719 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Thoughts on Rashid Shaheed?
Another guy that I think is being undervalued, not as much as Brandon Cooks, but undervalued nonetheless. So, uh, Shaheed through 2 seasons. His first year, he averaged 17.43 yards per catch. And this past season, his sophomore season, it dipped a little to 15.63. That's still really stinking good, guys. Like when
Mm-hmm.
he's catching the ball, he is getting downfield quickly. Um, so his average yards per target in comparison, year two, basically 9.6. So he was getting you 7 yards after the catch every single time. Like you these are hidden points that are available, right? And I think that still continues. I think Shaheed and Olave can make a really nice 1-2 punch, right? It's New Orleans getting healthy on their offensive line. It's reestablishing kind of what some things are doing. But in New Orleans, they're switching to basically the Kubiak offense. So keep that in mind. You are going to see Alvin Kamara rush for more yards this season than you've ever seen him rush in a single year of his career. And it's because of how this offense is set up. But what it does is it's going to pull everybody in on that zone blocking scheme. It's going to let Shaheed get behind the defenses, and it's going to make things easier for Olave. But Shaheed specifically, since this is the guy we're highlighting, he's going to be able to get behind some defenses and really make hay on some of these deep shots. And it would not surprise me to see him end up inside wide receiver 35.
A little gun shy with Shaheed because they did bring in Cedric Wilson. So I'm not as gung ho about what Shaheed's production will be. Sure, if Shaheed's there and it's the 10th round again and he's still there, yeah, I'm gonna take him. But I don't think I'm as confident as I was with Brandon Cooks being very undervalued. I'm not as much with Shaheed.
For me, Rashid Shaheed definitely has a lot of intrigue for me when it comes to a best ball type of format, right? Because he is a very boom bust player. He's a guy that can put up big plays, right? He was 14th in the league last year when it came to catches over 20 yards, right? Like ton of downfield shots, ton of big playability for him. But yeah, he in a per game type of ranking, per game point basis, it wasn't necessarily there, right? And while he finished at wide receiver 40, there was a lot of, to Kevin's point, it's a lot of ceiling games, and there was a lot of floor games, right? Like Rashid Shaheed is one of those guys that can go out and deliver a couple of top 5 wide receiver on the weeks type of performances, and follow that up with a couple of wide receiver 60 on the weeks there. And so for a best ball format, absolutely love that. Where if I'm drafting a guy 58th wide receiver off the board in the 11th round, if I can get 2 or 3, 4 weeks of usable points out of that player for a best ball format, that's return value there. From a season long perspective, there's going to be some hiccups in there, and it's going to be really kind of understanding where you could potentially try and play him, where you can try and go that route. But Rashid Shaheed is definitely a guy that can go out and win you a week. If you've got the ability to play him on the right week and predict that one.